Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining this members forum for the region. And today we're talking about destination travel and tourism, and we've got members and friends from across South West Wales coming together to talk about the visitor economy and our tourism sector. It's more or less the end of the peak summer season, and no doubt it's been busy, challenging in many ways, hopefully a positive summer season here across South West Wales, and we thought it would be timely to come together just to share some reflections and updates from across the region. And we've got a couple of speakers lined up so we can hear a bit more about a couple of exciting organisations and things that are happening. So we're really grateful to you all for taking the time to come and join us for this conversation. And I think what we'll do to start off with, I think we're a reasonably manageable number as long as everyone's really well behaved. We could do a little round of intros, and you could speak for 30 seconds just to say hello and share any thoughts. How is September going for you, and what's your interest, why you've come along today? And once we've had a little round of intros, then I'll introduce our speakers. Hugh, you're sitting there in the middle of my screen. Let's hear from you.
Okay, good afternoon all, and thank you for allowing me to join you. My name is Hugh Evans. I'm Head of Community Rail at Transport for Wales. The reason I wanted to join this is that I've been tasked with looking at developing a sustainable tourism strategy for TFW across Wales. So we're in the early days of that strategy. So for me, it was just trying to understand people's views and what's happening within the tourism industry in this part of the world. And maybe we could start to look at something a little bit more bespoke from a TFW point of view, maybe even a trial of that strategy where we can start to involve a lot more people potentially around this table to influence our sort of our way forward, really. So yeah, I'm looking forward to discussions, really. Hope that's okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Hugh. Great to see you. Peter and Eric from NEI, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I'm Peter. Eric will be in a minute. We have had an outbound tourism business, as Zoe and Dawn know, for 30 years almost, specialising in holidays to India and Southeast Asia and South America. And when we've been on our travels over there, we tell people where we come from and they want to know if they can come and visit Wales. Well, we always said, yes, of course you can if you want to, and they said, well, can you do it for us? No, because we only do outbound, we don't do inbound. That being in our mind, we decided just before lockdown, well, just before COVID hit first in February 2020, that we would sort of launch a new inbound tour operation to Wales only, not the whole of the UK. But that was due to happen in February 2020. We came back from a trip to India. We went to a friend's wedding. And 4 days after we got back, we went down with COVID. And then lots of other people started going down with COVID, and we went into lockdown, and it's all been dead. But we did a soft launch of the company, which is called Wales Beckons. I'll put the website address up in chat in a while. And if anybody would like to take a look, please do, and offer any constructive criticisms, be very welcome. But we thought we'd soft launch, just put the website up, see what happens. And we've done amazingly well, I have to tell you. We have been absolutely amazed at the number of people who've got in touch and the number of bookings that we've had just on that. But what we are looking to do now is to make contact with other people we can work with so that we can all work together for mutual benefit, hopefully. And so increase the number of people that we can bring into Wales, because we have now discovered the only proper inbound tour operator to Wales. So lots of people out there call themselves tour operators, but they're not. They just take people on a walking tour of Cardiff, or take them out in a 4x4 for a day on the Brecon Beacons or in Snowdonia or whatever. And we're looking for, we're the only ones who package the whole thing.
We had heard about that. So Wales Beckons, thank you for that. Do share the link. That sounds really worth connecting with. Lovely to see you. Linda James, let's hear from you.
Hello, I'm a councillor for Swansea Council. My ward is on Gower. So one of the biggest industries on Gower after agriculture is tourism. but it has a lot of positive points, but it has some negative ones as well. So interested in what's going to turn up today.
Lovely. Thanks so much for being here. Yes, I think as much as we want to encourage lots of visitors to come and discover our wonderful region, that does come with its challenges for local communities as well, which we need to work together to manage. Lovely to see you. Sarah Morris.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah. I'm the Partnership Manager for Superfast Business Wales. We support businesses across Wales in terms of online presence and anything to do with things like social media, digital marketing, websites, SEO, working from home, cybersecurity, cloud applications, anything online we can support you with. We support a lot of tourism businesses over the last couple of years, particularly with COVID, and we've had tourism specific webinars in the last couple of months as well. So we can support you in anything to do with your online presence. We've got a 3-stage programme that is all fully funded by the Welsh Government, so there's no cost to you as a business, and we're fully available for anyone other than agriculture, unfortunately. So any business in terms of across Wales we can support.
Nigel.
Oh, 1 second. I've got a number of tourism clients, and I'm here to find out what's going on, to see what the government's about, or the crowd in the assembly and local authorities are doing to either mess things up or make things worse for them. So, or better, because I got to say there's been some excellent programs being run by different councils, much to the benefit of tourism businesses, but there's also problems, as I see, with this tourism tax that they're talking about. So I just wanted to find out what's going on, so I can help my clients get around it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Nigel. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Ryan Peters.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan. I'm from the John Burns Foundation. We're a charitable organisation based in Cwtsh in southwest Wales. And we are very much starting out on our tourism journey, if you like. So we are launching accommodation next year, at the beginning of the year. We've got some lovely glamping pods in their final stages being prepared, and we've got some farmhouse accommodation as well. So very much starting out on our tourism journey. So just excited to find out what the year has been like for everyone and what's ahead for everyone as well.
Lovely to see you. Great. Thanks for joining, Ryan. Yeah, that sounds really brilliant. Love Cwtsh. So nice to have you with us, and look forward to hearing more about what you're up to.
Hi, afternoon. It's Andrew Bloomfield. I'm one of the business engagement advisors at NPTC Group of Colleges. So part of our role is engaging with businesses, seeing how we can support them with training, any funding, and also any job opportunities. So reason for joining really is just to get understand how we could be supported, and any things that I can feed back into the college of things that we could additionally do to support.
Thank you, Andrew. Skills comes up a lot, whatever meetings we're in. So great to have you with us, and yeah, listening to businesses and employers in the region. Really great. Lee, lovely to see you.
Hi, everyone. So my background is actually mainly design, but over the summer with my partner, Shanti, I held a kind of design meets well-being retreat here in Brechfa, where we invited 6 people to come who had some kind of idea in their head for something, some change in their life or something they want to move forward. And we used a mixture of kind of yoga, long walks in the forests, breath work, and then some tools from my creative background to draw out narrative. And I think that Brechfa is the well-being future of Wales, or at least one of them. And also just feel like Wales has so much to offer with all the space that it has for this massive well-being story that's happening about people finding more in open space, in terms of opening their minds up, working better, all that stuff. So pretty keen to smash my 2 interests together, design and well-being. And I'll post a little write-up in the chat if anyone wants to see those things.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. I don't know why I missed that retreat. That sounds great. Yes, when we did a whole load of engagement and conversations across the region when we were launching the Community Rail Partnership, well-being really came through as like a key theme, and we formulated our thinking around South West Wales as the well-being region. Zubs, nice to see you.
Hi everyone. So myself and Kira here from the YMCA. We both work on a project called Y Future, we're all about finding environmental solutions for young people, but we only work in the rural areas. So travel and tourism is a lot that comes up in our conversations that we have with the people living on the outskirts of Swansea. So I'm here to just get some information and hopefully make a difference to young people.
Brill, thank you. Thanks for being here. Nice to see you. Claire Sullivan.
No, my name is Claire. I'm part of Development Bank of Wales. I lead the Wales Tourism Investment Fund alongside Visit Wales. So it's a £50 million fund which we have to support companies in the tourism sector. So look at an investment between 100,000 up to £5 million. So looking to work with smaller projects along with larger destination projects. There's a mix within the fund where we can look at sort of debt-only transactions where we're looking to loan fund. Also for certain projects, we will also look at grant intervention, working closely then with Visit Wales on that.
Great to have you with us, Claire. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining.
Thanks,
John from Bay Trans.
Hello. Thanks for the offer to come to this meeting. I'm interested in keeping up with tourism events. For the information of people who I haven't seen before, I have an organisation, well, not an organisation, sorry, but a promotion called Swansea Way Without a Car. It's a website, but we've also got a very active Facebook page now, and we're getting a huge number of posts as I do a weekly post on ideas for travel by bike, bus, walk in the Swansea Bay area. The current one is the reintroduction of the university bus this week, where we're showing the opportunities for getting to all sorts of places for visitors to Swansea. You don't have to be a student. The bus service is now very frequent, goes to most attractions around Swansea. So it's a good thing to promote. So I'd be interested to hear what else is going on in the area.
Great, thanks, John. Yes, Swansea Bay Without a Car, and do make sure you're following on Facebook and other platforms, because it's a treasure trove of places that you can get to and things you can do without a car, and that's definitely a theme we want to continue to build on across the whole of South West Wales. Nikki.
My name is Nikki Bright. I actually style and I've set up holiday homes, holiday lets. I stage them and then I manage them. So I've got a number of them in the Mumbles, the Gower, Saundersfoot, Pembrokeshire, West Wales. I also involved in a number of projects with councils to help over the colder periods, families who are going homeless who need the emergency accommodation as well. So I look after those in Bridgend, also Baglan and Port Talbot. So for me coming on, I just want to find out more information, because not only is the council tax obviously gone up 300%, the gas and electric has. We now have charging points for cars in a lot of the holiday lets, so it's very, very expensive. And it's just being made aware that the guests who are coming into the country, they're not just Wales, they're coming from all around the world. And before we left Brexit, I was looking after holiday makers, which were schools coming in on the European funding from France, Italy. Of course, that's all ended now. So it's just trying to find revenue sources now to go into the holiday lets, not just relying on Airbnb and Booking.com.
Really interesting, Nikki. Thanks for joining. Yeah, definitely some big challenges with the cost of everything increasing. So great to have you here to share perspectives, and hopefully the conversation will develop. Laura from MPT, I think you may be not feeling tip-top. Nice to see you.
Apologies, I have tested positive for COVID. So if my voice goes, it's the old COVID scratch. Just introducing myself, I'm obviously the tourism officer for Port Talbot Council. We've recently rebranded from Visit Neath Talbot to the Dramatic Heart of Wales. We realised about a week or two ago that we've now been officially operating for 12 months, and the campaign has been going really, really well. Interested to learn more about other people operating in the area and Swansea Bay. Ryan, can I just say we were actually in John Burns Centre last week, and I think we spotted the new glamping pods. So really keen to hear more about that, because we've been up there quite a few times. So yeah, that should be interesting. But yeah, any questions about Neath Talbot, just ask me.
Claire, can I come to you?
Yeah, so my name's Llyr Roberts, and I'm started Cwtsh Hostel in the city centre. We're the only 5-star rated hostel in South Wales. Sticking with the theme of the meeting, I just want to go through the numbers for the hostel, basically. So we only opened in November. Cwtsh Hostel has 50 single beds, 4 private rooms. We opened in November last year, and we can see the sort of recovery in the numbers from COVID. So it's a combination of the recovery and I guess just the word of mouth about the hostel. I'll go through the website quickly. So just so you can see sort of the setup of the hostel. So we're the only 5-star rated hostel in South Wales, and we've got sort of pod accommodation. So we've got 3 dorms of 12. Every pod has a light and a socket. We've got 4 private rooms. So yeah, it's the only sort of hostel in the city centre. And we accommodate all types of groups. We accommodate friends and family, students, school bookings. And a lot of the people we are helping as well is sort of people who are either sort of homeless or in between housing. So if you imagine if they're between rented accommodation, we're the only place at the right price point where they can actually go without sort of going on the streets. So we offer sort of long-term stay rates for these people who are between our accommodation and things like this. So that's sort of the facilities. And then, yeah, we're very keen on sort of bikes as well. So we don't have any, so we don't have any parking. So obviously, 90% of the people who come to the hostel are traveling on public transport, which is great. Here you can sort of see, so we opened in November, and then, New Year's Eve, last day of December, we had 6 people on site. So the occupancy was, terrible, 5-6%. So to have 6 people and 50 beds, I was thinking to myself, well, what have I done? But then at the time, I guess the messaging from the government was, although the pubs were open, the clubs were closed. So everyone took that as, the don't go out on New Year's Eve, basically. But then you can sort of see then steady growth and recovery, I guess, from COVID. And then we have had a good July and August. The only sort of anomaly there you can see is in May. May, for some reason, dipped below April. I'm not sure why, if there was not as many events on, but just a bit of a strange sort of anomaly on that side. And then you can see then September's been good. October is definitely going to quieten down, but at the same time, I'll jump to the last slide. The way the bookings work, these are statistics from booking.com. 33% of our bookings are on the day or a few hours before. So actually, you don't want to worry too much about the month ahead, because a lot of those bookings come a few days before. So actually, if you think the last day, 2 to 3 days, 4 to 7 days, 50% of your bookings could come a week before. So that's how that works. Then going back to here in terms of some stats, I guess, around where people are coming from. Primarily, 80% of the customers are within the UK, but I think this is going to change. And we're seeing sort of demand from, countries. So at the hostel, we want to try our best to bring all the backpackers from London down to the end of the M4 to Swansea, because we've got so much to offer. But we're increasingly seeing loads of customers from Germany, France, Canada, America. And, they're getting a real taste of Swansea and the Gower, and they're using this hostel as a base to go and explore the Gower. So they come by train, stay at the hostel, and then they can do their trips. And at the hostel, what we're trying to do is promote the Gower and all the beautiful bits in Swansea. So there are QR codes everywhere, how to get to Llangenith, how to get to Rhossili, how to get to Three Cliffs via public transport. and then we give them sort of a recommended walking route and things like this. So we're trying our best to make it as easy as possible for people to explore Swansea. The Germans especially, most of them, when they come, they love to bike pack. So a lot of the Germans are coming with their bikes, and they are bike packing around the coast of Wales, which is really nice to see, especially with the celebrations of the coastal path. And obviously we're doing our best to promote the sort of transport. This map just reflects the same data which you can see all over the world. The small percentages aren't there, but we're getting loads of Nigerian students who are coming to Swansea to study, but they're always staying in hostel before they actually get their official sort of longer term residential accommodation. So that's nice to see that we're helping those people out as well. But yeah, a real nice mix of people coming to the hostel, and obviously, it's nice to see the growth and the recovery. And hopefully, October, November, December are relatively good to us. We know we're quite seasonal in a way, but actually being in the city centre, maybe we might be better than the more rural sort of hostels in Wales. Yeah, but I welcome any questions if anyone has any.
Are there any age restrictions, or because you said it's for families, is it any age or?
Yeah, so what we do is we obviously get school group bookings in, and they've got their teachers, and if the schools are in, obviously they normally book it out the whole place to themselves. So the age thing is fine, With other families, the only thing we say is anyone under the age of 16, we won't put them in a public dorm, so they won't be sharing with any strangers. You'd have to, if you had a family of 4, you would book the whole 4-bed dorm to yourself. If you had a family of 10, you'd book the whole 12-bed dorm to yourself. So that's how we'd operate in terms of ages. So yeah, there's flexibility, but the only thing we avoid is having strangers in with children.
Thanks, Llyr. John.
Yeah, very interesting, Llyr. Thank you very much for that. You and I think, could well talk together. You are actually providing a lot of people for public transport, cycling and walking in the area. So do look at our Facebook page. Every week there's something different. We did coastal walks in Gower right throughout the summer, using the bus for each end. So afterwards, perhaps we can exchange details and we can keep in touch.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. Yeah, thank you, John. And it's lovely to see the council as well. Every now and again, we're getting these free bus weeks, aren't we? So, and when the people come to the hostel, they love it. They really do enjoy the fact that you can just jump on the bus and take full advantage of it.
How do you promote those sort of things? Do you promote them internally when people are there, or what's your best way of promoting things like that?
Yeah, we try to share everything that the council posts out on our social media, but what we'll do as well is we'll print out the actual email or the notification saying between these dates, and we'll put down the door on the exit as they leave. So every time somebody leaves the building, they should see the poster. And the same when they checking in, say if they checking in Monday and the bus travel is free Monday to Friday or whatever, we'll let them know, because they're more likely to travel and enjoy, really, because they get to see more.
Are there key themes here, like when the council put on sort of big events in the park and things like that? Does that really help?
Oh yeah, tremendously. So we're filling the hostel with backpackers, but on the weekends, mostly Friday, Saturday, we're fully booked because there's always an event. So when the last Singleton event on, I can't remember the name of the singer, that was fully booked back in November. So yeah, you see any kind of event, you see the Friday, Saturday get booked up really quickly.
The Cwtsh Hostel is one of the best things that's happened in the city centre. 5-star. I've been there myself, and it's fantastic. It's exactly what the city centre needed, and we wish you all the very best with your business, and the one on the attraction you run as well on the Kingsway has been really successful. So very lucky to have people like Llyr, taking the plunge in Swansea and running successful businesses.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd love to hear a little bit, Llyr, about your sort of journey, because a little group of you decided that Swansea needed a hostel, and talk us through that journey of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, my background was electronics. I did engineering in Swansea, and I got a bit bored of working for somebody else. So I started my first little business is Breakout Life Swansea, and that's an escape room on the Kingsway. So that was my little introduction to business. And then, yeah, ever since I wanted to start a hostel in Swansea, just because, you know, I think it needed it. And then in terms of starting the hostel, it was finding a location, striking a deal with the landlord. So the landlord put money in, I put a little money in, and then there was a Welsh Government grant for tourism, and then we took advantage of the council scheme. So there's an interest-free loan scheme from the council to help with generation. So all of that, you know, funding came to place to put the project together, you know.
Yeah, really great. And yeah, I think I remember reading, you know, a couple of years ago that there was a real need, there was a real sort of gap in the market for that affordable type of accommodation.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not opposed to any more competition as well, because I think the more competition, the better, because the backpackers will make Swansea the destination, and the more sort of people who provide this type of accommodation, the more budget, you know, the more popular. It's the backpackers who are the trailblazers, you know, they're the ones who make destinations popular, you know. If you think of Vietnam or whatever, it's the amount of backpackers there who make it popular, whatever. So it's definitely the way forward, I think. It's just sad to see, you know, the talk of the tourism levy. Maybe we should have a separate little meeting about that. But for us, you know, we really don't want to start taxing these young people, backpackers, the borderline homeless people who are staying at the hostel. I think that would be really unfair. So I'm really fighting for sort of an exemption for the hostel sector because of the price point, and just I think the administration of it would be more work than the actual benefit.
Yeah, you know, very happy to hear comments on that. Nigel mentioned the tourism tax, and it has been sort of in the news recently. And I wonder whether there are opportunities to, consider how it could work and what the exemption should be and things like that.
I've just completed a pub that was going bankrupt in Swansea. It's the Innis Meadow Arms, and they were going bankrupt because of COVID and they were losing the pub. So I've turned it into like an Airbnb. And the reason for transforming it is because it sleeps up to 26 people above in the hotel. Now, we were looking at different ways for tourism, because what I see now is it's multi-generation families going away now in groups. So we want to try and encourage more of the families going away with their best friends, their neighbours, mum and dad, and they're all gathering in. So what you don't want to encourage with the tourism tax is when the council then comes to you and wants to use your property for the homeless. So you need to be careful that you don't have too much of one thing, because you then create a ghetto, you're creating a problem with asylum seekers and drugs and different things. So it's making sure that we can keep these businesses open and drive the tourism there, because it's, you know, even with the pub we've got in the Innis Meadow, that is creating business going up to the Brecon Beacons for cyclists and things. But again, it's really hard at the moment when the bills are so high, and we're starting to think if we now got to put the costs up again. But there should be something there definitely for backpackers and people who are on low incomes and families going away. If you're budgeting that, then we should be able to have support for that.
Yeah, that sounds really sensible. I mean, Llyr, are you facing challenges around the rising cost of energy and things like that? Is that going to have a massive impact?
Yeah, definitely. Well, the way I see it is it's almost the raise in the price of electricity is basically the price of one, you know, salary. You're almost faced with the choice of, do you keep a member of staff or do you pay the energy bill? Because the energy bill for me has gone up from maybe 6,000 a year, electricity and gas combined, to 16,000 a year. So, you know, that's 10,000 or 12,000 extra is someone's salary. So the cap has come in place. It's not going to be 25,000. It might be nearer 13, 14,000, but still the cap is it's double the historic sort of normal rates, or almost triple then. So it's while it's there, it's still going to be really hard. And I really worry about businesses who use a lot of energy. For example, my linen provider, I'm not sure how are they going to stay in business, because the amount of energy they use is going to be monumental compared to us.
Yeah, sort of laundrette type scenario. Yeah, there's a lot of businesses the whole business is so reliant on using appliances and machines. Yeah, difficult times. And so what are you excited about for 2023, if we can look that far ahead?
Well, yeah, continue to see, you know, the occupancy and have a full year to see, to benchmark, I guess, you know, we've got lots of loans to pay back, lots of funding to pay back. It was a very expensive project. So, you know, it's about survival really. But yeah, I'm hopeful we'll see through, and we'll be here then for the next 10 to 20 years, hopefully.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I think it is thought-provoking and perhaps feeds a bit of discussion as the session goes on. But yes, great to hear about the hostel. And I know Zoe's been down there and it's amazingly fantastic, she said. So encourage anyone to go and have a look. Geraldine Williams is from Swansea Council Tourism Department and has agreed to give us a bit of an update this afternoon, looking back at how 2022 has been in Swansea Bay, Mumbles, Gower, and what's in the planning for the year ahead. So thanks, Geraldine, for agreeing to come and give us a little presentation.
Before I start, there is a lot going on with businesses. We may be out of COVID, but there are other challenges shaping up, and these will need to be addressed one by one. It is a difficult time for businesses, not being able to recruit staff, minimum wage going up, all the materials going up, energy going up. There's lots of consultation on the tourism levy. Lots of split opinions, you know. I know a lot of places do it across the world, a lot of destinations. We've just booked a trip to Rome to go and see the rugby next year. And the accommodation was already expensive because of the rugby. And once we booked, we had an email saying, by the way, on top of your bill will be €6 per night per person, which is now adding €140 on top of the accommodation in Rome. That was a bit of the, you know, so it all depends. I know it's being reinvested into the destination, hopefully to make it more sustainable. There's lots of things you can do with that money. And there's lots of things we could do with that money in Swansea if it does become a reality. It all depends how much. Are we putting a barrier so people don't want to come here because it's too high? Or is it £1 and people say, oh yeah, and if we explain where the money is going to be used, is, you know, if they can see the benefit of what they're paying their £1, then they might embrace it. So there's a lot of discussions going on and lots of consultation workshops taking place. So I'd encourage everyone to have their say, and because there's lots of business cases with Llyr, you know, with the hostel audience, very different audience to people going to 4 or 5-star hotels. So £1 may make a difference. So we do need to hear from everyone. I would encourage everyone to take part in the consultation, because it's not a done deal. We're looking at what other destinations are doing, what other councils are doing. So yeah, have your say by all means, and make sure that your voice is heard. Okay, I'll crack on now.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. Thank you for that.
Okay, so I'm the Tourism Development Officer for Swansea Council, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to present today. I just wanted to show you what's happened so far in 2022, where I work in the tourism team. We're a very small team, but I must say there's a lot going on. So we are very, very busy, and this is just a very small highlight of what we've been up to this year and the major pieces of work that we're working on. So I'll start at the beginning of 2022. I was saying the marketing campaigns mainly happen in the winter and in the autumn, and into spring as well, to encourage people to visit outside the summer. We know we're busy in the summer. In fact, some areas of Swansea and Gower can't cope with the number of visitors. So we do need to spread the season as much as we can. So we always encourage people to come autumn, winter and spring. So the Dark Skies campaign, which was run in partnership with Visit Wales, was really successful because, of course, Gower is one of the best places for stargazing. That's just some of the videos and images that we produced. It was extremely successful. Then in February, March, we targeted the dog-friendly market because we've realized through the visitor research how many people come and visit with their four-legged friends. And it's a growing market, especially after COVID when everyone had a puppy. So during lockdown, we realized that that market is going to grow again, and we need to address it. We need to make sure people know which beaches are dog friendly all year round, what you can do with your dog in Swansea. So we did a mini campaign on social media, which was extremely successful because everyone likes pretty pictures of dogs. One of the things we One of the things we launched in March is a new one for us, using some of the recovery money which was made available to us. There were TV ads on Sky Ad Smart. So that's basically targeting video on demand customers and showing them adverts about Swansea Bay, Mumbles and Gower. We've reached 148,000 households in our target areas. So this will hopefully translate into a rise in visitors from these areas. So we'll be hopefully doing that again because that was extremely successful. Another thing we did with the recovery money was to put images and videos of Swansea Bay in the key transport hubs across the capital, as well as the large cities, Birmingham, Reading and Bristol, which are key markets for us. We've already had feedback from people on social media tagging us in saying, hey, I've just seen this and that on the subway. And so we know it's working, and we know it's having a really positive effect in people living in the cities. So hopefully we can run that again if there is any more recovery money available to us, because as you can imagine, these aren't cheap. So our limited budget doesn't normally stretch to having adverts on the London Underground. And yeah, that's where I stopped last time. I was laughing about Swansea Council on TikTok, but it's working. This is something we've been thinking of doing for a while. TikTok has taken over the world, and we thought missing a trick here with our 18 to 34-year-old audience, because there's so much to do here in terms of activities. You know, it's such a cool and happening destination with the arena and all the events we've got. So we've got to target that audience, which doesn't really interact on Facebook anymore. So in we went with TikTok. We launched in March. We've got, I think, 1,500 followers already. So it's not going too badly. We're trying to be as creative as we can on TikTok, but so far it's going really, really well. So that's one to watch if anyone wants to sign up to our TikTok account. Then in May, we worked with Geraldine Williams to really encourage visitors to engage with our nature and wildlife and the sustainability aspect of the destination. That was extremely successful, mainly because of the personality that we worked with. Everyone loves Yolo. He's absolutely great, such a great ambassador, not only for the area, but the sustainability of everything that Swansea has to offer. So absolute great ambassador. We're working with him again in the future, because sustainability is the way to go as far as we can see. As you said before, Dawn, you know, numbers visitors can be an issue on small communities. We've really got to focus on the aspect of visiting responsibly and encouraging sustainability and biodiversity. So we keep visitors coming back for the right reasons, because we've actually got fantastic nature and wildlife. So in June, we launched our last piece of print, dare I say, so vintage edition. This will be the last piece of print we do for the destination. Everything is moving online, and tourism is no different. People go online to book their holidays. They look at reviews online. The brochures, the numbers were going down every year. So we called it a day, moved all the information online, make sure it was up to date at all times. We did produce one last piece of print this year, which is the visitor guide, which is being distributed. Well, it has been distributed for months now. We're coming to the end of it. You might have seen it in key venues across Swansea. So yeah, get your copy, because that's the last one. Might be worth something one day. There is still an audience for print, but we do encourage people to be sustainable and get information online if they can. We don't mind sending guides out, but really the way things are going is people get information online. A print can be out of date the week after it came out. So it's not a viable way of conveying information to visitors. Certainly not a great sustainably, environmentally friendly way of conveying information. So even though there is still a small audience for it, it will be the last one. So everything will be online from now on. So in terms of events, we have been extremely busy. Talk about a big comeback for events this year. It has been absolutely manic in terms of special events. So the Wales Air Show came back and was a great success. We had lots of concerts in Singleton, you were mentioning, Llyr, and I'm sure some of these people coming down for the concerts ended up in the Cwtsh afterwards with Jerry Cinnamon, Niall Rogers, Anne-Marie and Paul Weller, all within a few weeks of each other. It was absolutely crazy in Singleton Park, really successful. Most of them were sold out. So fantastic to see people returning to outdoor events. This was followed by the World Triathlon Paris Series and Ironman Swansea, which was probably one of the biggest events we've ever hosted. That went really well, really happy. We're actually waiting for an impact report from the organizers to tell us what the likely impact has been on the local economy. And also we had outdoor theatre, 2 sold out performances in Mumbles, followed straight away by the Swansea Bay 10K only a couple of weeks ago. So it has been really, really busy, and events really drive visitors to the area. So what we're going to try and do is carry on with this, encourage events in the autumn and spring period, because I know the summer is chock-a-block. I don't think we can fit anyone in next year, but it has been really busy and fantastic to see people enjoying events again. We are now into our autumn campaign, which is using the Happy Place rolling theme we've been using for a couple of years now. Very successful hashtag. I think people have really caught on to that and embraced it. And also underlying theme, always visit responsibly. We've always got the message out there, look after the environment, recycle, if you love Swansea Bay, then look after it. You know, you've got a responsibility towards it when you visit. So that's always there in all the messages that we convey to our visitors. And of course, the autumn campaign's main aim is to extend the season to support the recovery of the tourism sector. So this will be going on for the next few weeks now. You might see a lot of videos and images on social media if you do follow us. The PR campaign has been ticking along. Obviously, during COVID, we had to put everything on hold, but journalists and bloggers and vloggers have been keen to visit. So as soon as we reopened our doors, they were there. We had a whole host of visits wanting to come and report back. We've had lots of coverage online, in newspapers, on vlogs, etc. These are some of the recent ones: the Sunday Telegraph, iNews, and a blogger called Sea of Love Camper. Looking back at 2022 in terms of how the sector did, the occupancy figures for the hotels are really encouraging so far. We haven't got the final figures, but they seem to be almost back to pre-pandemic levels for larger hotels. And I know the Cwtsh has had a successful summer, so hopefully this is an encouraging sign for 2023. In terms of visitswansea.bay.com, which is the official website for Swansea Bay, Mumbles and Gower, we had 1.2 million unique visits to the website, which is more than last year when we were already busy. So on this front, the figures are looking good as well. People are going online and booking their holidays. Our social media channels are still growing. As you can see, we're up to 85,000 Facebook, 19,000 on Twitter, 6,500 on Instagram, and our TikTok there, our latest, 1.5K already after a few months. Okay, looking at 2023 in terms of strategic planning, we've got big pieces of work coming our way. We're currently working to our Tourism Recovery Action Plan, which our destination management plan basically ended in 2020, just as COVID came in. We thought it wasn't the right time to produce a new DMP. We went into recovery mode instead, and we had a 2-year recovery action plan to see how we could support the industry, because there were exceptional circumstances. All the long-term targets went out of the window because we didn't know where we were going to be in a couple of years. We can now take stock, and we're coming out of this recovery action plan, and we've, in partnership with Visit Wales, we will be producing a new destination management plan, which is basically a tourism strategy for 23-25. So not a long-term plan, just something looking at the next 2 or 3 years to see where we are, see how things are going. Are we really in recovery phase? Because some businesses are still struggling out there, some are thriving and some are struggling. So we really need to take stock and perhaps have a short-term plan for the next 2 years. So this new plan should be out by March 23. It will be informed by 3 pieces of research, which I've already started. The visitor survey is underway, and it's actually finishing next week. There'll be 1,000 interviews face-to-face with visitors to find out where they're from, where they stay, how they travel, what they do when they're here, why they come. So we'll have the results of that visitor survey in November. The next piece of research is our tourism trade survey, and I would again encourage everyone to take part in that. It's basically to take stock of where we are. How was the summer, but are you investing in your business? How is 2023 looking? What are the barriers for you to expand your business? We have an idea of what they are. We know the challenges are there, but we really need to hear from all the tourism businesses in Swansea, Mumbles and Gower to really tell us what it's like for them at the moment. So the trade survey will be going out next month. And the hotel demand studies, the third piece of research we need. We had one done in 2016, so that's well outdated now. We need to really take stock of where we are in terms of supply for hotels and future demand, because there's so much happening with Skyline, with the new arena, and much more exciting developments again coming our way. So that will be ongoing in the next few months. We'll hopefully have a better picture of what's needed in terms of hotels in the city centre. And then, of course, underlying all that, got all these great developments happening, the arena, Penderyn's, potentially new hotels being interested in the city centre, new attractions, I mentioned Skyline, Aquarium, city centre regeneration programme happening left, right and centre. So all this has got to come together in order for the new DMP to be produced in time for March next year. So there's a lot happening, and very exciting times indeed. In terms of business support and how we help the recovery of the tourism sector, we've, for the third year running, we've offered free partner packages on visitswansea.bay.com. So whereas a few years ago, there was a fee of about 170, maybe £200 to become a partner and have your business promoted on visitswansea.bay.com, that came to an end in 2020, and we made it free to all businesses in order to support them through COVID and now through recovery. So it's still currently free to join. Visit Swansea Bay and you get a listing on the website with images and contact details. You become part of all the great campaigns that I've told you about. So I would encourage everyone, if you know a tourism business and they're not on visitswanseabay.com, please tell them to give me a call. It is free at the moment. Accommodation operators need to be graded with Visit Wales, or at least listed with them. That's completely free as well. So there's no cost involved in getting your business out there and really getting all the help and support that you can through all the campaigns that we do and all the advice, all the business advice and support that we provide. So there's no cost, and it's all well worth, contacting the tourism team and saying, hey, I got this business, I'm struggling a bit, what can you do for me? We'd love to hear from anyone out there. Another project I'm working on at the moment is the Tourism Support Fund. Again, this is recovery money that was made available to us. And it's a fund, it's not a huge fund, it's £8,000 for businesses out there who qualify for the fund. It's for accommodation operators in rural areas. So they tend not to get as much support as perhaps businesses in the city centre can access through Visit Wales and city centre grants. So the TSF is for rural businesses who want to upgrade, improve the visitor offer. So we've got 15 projects underway at the moment. So very exciting times. We've got fantastic projects, whether it's improving accessibility or upgrading what they've got there. So watch this space. By March next year, we'll have fantastic projects to report on. And lastly, just to say, if you're not part of the, if you haven't subscribed to the Tourism Trade e-newsletter for Swansea businesses that goes out every week, please sign up. It's full of information on marketing opportunities, grant opportunities, business support. We put all the courses of Superfast Business Wales on there. All the opportunities out there for businesses, all the things they can access is listed on the newsletter. So it's we launched it at the very beginning of the pandemic, and some businesses have told us it's been a lifeline with all the regulations and the lockdowns, where they didn't know whether they were supposed to open or close down or what they could or couldn't do. So that's how it was launched. It was a desperate measure to try and get the information out there to businesses who really needed the help and support. But then it's grown now. Businesses have reopened. It's grown into something much more than that. It's all about marketing opportunities as well as business support. So if you're not signed up, let me know, and I can certainly add your email address. And lastly, to finish on a high note and a positive note, because I know it's not all rosy out there, and I won't pretend that it is. I was hoping to play you the latest video that's come out, which is a general destination video, which is being played on all our platforms at the moment. And it really showcases, why it's so great to come and visit in Swansea Bay. So I'm going to try.
No, it depends a little bit on whether you put the sound on when you shared your screen, but I can probably share it, try it, and if it doesn't work, I'll share it for you.
Yeah, because the music is great, but I mean, the images speak 1,000 words as well.
Yeah, one of the easiest things to sell in the world, Geraldine, holidays in our lovely region.
Yes.
So yeah, so many choices of lovely footage to share and everything. Yeah, really great update, and I'm so glad we could hear you properly, because your enthusiasm for it all has really shone through as well, and really great to hear about all those exciting campaigns. And one of the things that struck me as you were speaking is, if only every sector was as well kind of joined up and well served, really. So really great to hear about all the ways in which you connect with, support and keep in touch with all the tourism businesses across the county. Really
absolutely.
Yeah,
without them we haven't got a product. You know, we sell the destination, but really it is up to the businesses. When people come and visit, they are Swansea Bay, they are the experience. So we try to work with everyone, whereas restaurants, hotels, activity providers, attractions, everyone really. It's all about partnership working.
Yeah, that really comes across, and the more the businesses and the council are joined up on that, I suppose it really maximises the benefit for everybody. Lovely. Well, let's have some questions or reflections from the group, and any comments that anybody has. Nigel, I don't know whether I've just answered your question in the chat, but I'll come to you anyway.
What does the Visit Swansea Bay? I'm a little bit confused, because one of the things I was expecting this morning is also to see Carmarthenshire tourism and Pembrokeshire tourism in here as well, because you are normally covering the Southwest Wales, Swansea Bay and Southwest Wales, Neath Talbot as well. The Visit Swansea Bay, what about companies that are outside that area, say just inside Carmarthen, that sort of stuff? Do you take those as well, or Geraldine?
So at the moment, we only work, because we are Swansea Council, right. We only work with businesses within the city and county of Swansea, because Carmarthen will have their own tourism team, and so will Neath Talbot, and so will Pembrokeshire. So it's by local authority, although we do have a history with Neath Talbot. That comes from years ago, the definition of the area when working with Visit Wales at the time, where Neath Talbot and Swansea were almost one area. So we've got a very close relationship with Neath Talbot, and we do have some businesses
the old West
on the
Glamorgan
website.
area, yes.
Yeah, that's right. So we do have some businesses which are in Neath Talbot on the website, but there's not many, because obviously they've got their own tourism team, and Laura's here today.
Okay, thanks. That's great.
Quite right, Nigel. We are a regional organisation. It just happens that it's Swansea that's been invited as one of the speakers today, but Laura is here as well, and hopefully when Laura's feeling better, she can come back and do a full presentation from Neath Talbot and the other local authorities as well. And we're really interested, you know, in how we can help to connect that picture and the collaborations between the four local authorities, because we think there's a strong regional message. Yes. Yeah. Lee.
Hello. In the spirit of joined up thinking, and particularly with all the awesome stuff that For the Region pulls together, I'm interested to know what, if anything, is happening in circular economy, tourism, sort of businesses, you know, what the opportunities might be, what people are thinking, what the support is, if any, you know, because there's this push for Circular Wales, which is amazing, One Planet Wales, which is awesome, but the tourism sector can be full of a lot of waste products. There's a lot of laundry, there's a lot of, you know, can be a lot of drinking water bottles, for example, if people are on the go. I'm sure that's a lot better these days than it might have been, but just interested to know, really, see what's happening in that regard.
From Neath Talbot's perspective, it's very sort of early days, but myself and two colleagues have actually been attending the circular economy conferences that have been taking place. So we are looking to bring in more sort of aspects of circular economy and sustainability. Within sort of business and regeneration, we've actually just appointed a circular economy role that's been taken by one of our colleagues, Claire. Going forward, she will actually be working with local businesses across Neath Talbot to help them look at sort of the wider picture and what they can do. That could be anything from manufacturing to maybe food outlets, catering, hotel accommodation, and we are looking to obviously work with her very closely. As I said, it is very, very early days. We're looking at sort of introducing maybe videos and training courses. So it is in the pipeline, and I know sort of Visit Wales are really sort of hot topics, circular economy, sustainability and accessibility. So it's something that we are working to, as soon as we've got sort of plans and sort of training programs in place, we'll keep you all updated.
Were you
yeah, sorry, go ahead, Lee.
Were you at the Circular Revolution thing in Swansea the other day?
I was, yes. And I've been watching the video this morning because they've got a conference in Cardiff as well. And that's how we were in John Burns last week, because one of our cohorts is based in Kidwelly, so that's where we all meet.
Is that the Circular Economy Innovations Community project that's been run by Swansea Council, Laura?
That is, yes. I couldn't think of, I got COVID brain. I couldn't think of the name, but that's the one.
You're doing very well, Laura, considering. But I haven't been involved in these consultations, but I know colleagues have, and particularly in economic development and regeneration. So I haven't got much more to add to what Laura just said, but I did want to add that one of the big things that we work on is shortening the food chain supply. So that's one of the big themes for RDP, which I sit on, the Rural Development Partnership, and that's a recurring theme as well, is how we get the food suppliers, food producers to sell more of what they do, so shortening the chains. So that's there's actually quite a lot of money available for that through RDP, so that's one of the key themes. But yes, certainly the circular economy is the next big thing that's going to have to be addressed over the next year or so.
I have brought it up internally, because obviously if this single use, the regs come in, looking at cutlery, packaging, everything that's going to affect any sort of tourism businesses that are offering sort of catering. So it's something that we are looking into at present.
Saw the announcements recently about Wales leading the way in looking to ban those kind of single-use items. So yeah, that you're right. That is an interesting impact for the tourism sector.
I think we're one of the top 3 recycling nations in the world.
We are.
Yeah, I think so. So we are doing well, and that's a unique selling point for Wales. Is how green we actually are. Not just our landscapes, but that is certainly something that is important to visitors.
Yeah, I guess I was going to ask about that, and Llyr and others who talk to visitors, you know, does it come across as a big theme, you know, the move away from international travel and the recognition that there's so much great stuff you can do without having to fly overseas? And, you know, do you think there is a growing market for people who are looking to make a sustainable holiday choice and have that reflected in their visitor choices?
Yeah, I think that's it's definitely a factor for the backpackers. The backpackers they started to refuse, you know, short or any sort of flights. So a lot of the backpackers who come to the hostel from Europe, you know, they're all by a train. And they will take an overnight train as opposed to a short haul flight. So yeah, it's definitely moving in that direction, I think. And but hostels are sort of inherently more sustainable than hotels, because there's 12 people in one room as opposed to 12 big rooms being heated. So it's a good pro of the hostel.
Do you give away little tiny bottles of shampoo, Llyr, or have you got a more sustainable option?
We have got these tiny bottles that are for sale, but they're kind of prohibitively expensive. They're £3 each. But what we tend to do is we just recycle. You know, everyone leaves their own bottle of Lynx or Nivea or whatever, and it's just there then in a box. So we basically don't sell these products. We just hand out the old bottles that people have left over. So and it's the same with food. Somebody's bought a load of food, they haven't used it. It just goes into a cupboard where everyone can just go in there and grab what they want and cook it. Yeah.
Do you see opportunities for more that you can do? We recently hosted the Green Recovery Business Conference, and we're just this week for Great Big Green Week publishing our Swansea Green Business Report, which is not specifically about the tourism sector, but I guess with the kind of energy costs and cost of living, really pressing on people's minds, businesses are looking much harder at these issues, and not only as an environmental measure, but as a cost-saving measure. Is it something you guys talk about within your kind of leadership team, Llyr?
Yeah, definitely. One of the projects I want to do now is to get solar on the roof. We've got a nice big flat roof, so the payback on solar now is becoming 3 to 5 years or less. So yeah, it's a no-brainer for business to put as much solar as they can on their roofs wherever they are. It's just funding for that's hard, because we've already got so many loans, but some more funding for solar or grant. I think Swansea Council are also looking at introducing grants for solar installs for business. So yeah, it's needed now, and I think it will happen.
There's actually a workshop, I think it's next week, targeted at businesses and to help them reduce their energy costs and become more sustainable. I'll dig up the details now and put it in the chat.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Well, one quick thing, because of my electronics background, I've installed current clamps in every circuit in the hostel. And one thing I found was there's the pump on site which pumps water up to the roof. And it failed 1 week, and everything worked without it. So I saved 15% of my electricity bill just with that pump being out of action and the mains pressure being enough to send it up to the roof anyway. So you have to be able to measure it, and every business should try and get one, a consultant out, or somebody with or just an electrician with some experience. There's huge amount of savings that can be done electricity-wise. My whole way with the lights on 24/7 was 10% of my bill, and I put sensors on all of them now, so that's basically 10% of the bill that's gone. So you can really cut down on your electricity by doing clever things like that.
Once you know where it's going. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Lee, you were going to come in again. What would you like to see, and what do you think more needs to be done?
Oh, I've been musing recently that I think solar is really ripe for circular, actually. And I was asking on the circular revolution thing, like how the legislation would work if you become a kind of micro off-grid supplier, effectively decoupling your electricity supply from the big company, or like, I don't even know how it would work. Anyway, it just occurs to me that that's the sector that micro energy. We've been doing a lot of one planet energy, and I'm sat here looking at a open EVSE card charging box, which I'm going to get to talk to this Arduino so that I can charge my friend's van just using the power of the sun. But that technology, we've been tinkering with it, and now it's coming more readily available. Car chargers that will take just the excess solar from a roof supply and charge your vehicle. But again, it's all about buying. You have to buy all that stuff. You can't just say to someone, give me a contract for 40 years of electricity at 15p a unit for anything that comes off the roof, and then you balance it with the grid supply or something. Anyway, I was just musing on it as a circular business opportunity. One Planet Power is my working title. If anyone is interested, hit me up. Maybe if there's enough interest, I'll just start that business.
There are some very big co-ops in Wales now who are doing solar, so that's something for you to definitely look into. Lots of businesses, if you just want to lease your roof and make a bit of income off it, the cooperative will put the solar on your roof, and then it becomes this, as you say, locally generated.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Yeah, sorry, what would you like from me?
Well, we were just talking about the sustainability of the tourism sector, and we know yes. Bluestone really leading on a lot of exciting things. Perhaps you want to just share some insights and anything else you'd like to share about 2022 and your summer season. Yeah.
Okie doke. Yeah, it's 2022. So far, so good. Not so much we're in the process of building 80 new lodges at the moment, which we had planning for last year. So they should be opening up next summer. You can book them already, which is great, which is really good for us. More jobs in the local community. Blackpool Mill, which is historic river mill at the bottom of our site, which has been sort of falling down for the last decade or two. That should be opening up again in April time as a heritage restaurant. It's been very tastefully restored. All the mill workings inside are being retained, and so that people will be able to visit. It'd be like visiting a mill museum, but it'll be a restaurant inside. All the produce will be sourced locally, and this will be our first product that's open to the public. So you don't have to stay at Bluestone to use that facility. That's open to everybody. So that's really exciting. We became the first hospitality business in the UK to switch all of our gas to biogas this year, which we're quite excited about. About 120,000 litres a year of LPG historically we'd cook with. We're not on the gas mains. So we switched that over to biogas, which is a sort of a byproduct of the biodiesel industry. So that's wiped a huge amount of our carbon footprint, 150 tonnes a year off our carbon footprint by making that change. So that's really cool. In 2014, we were the first business in the world to recycle nappies. With Nappy Cycle. It's obviously a technology invented in Ammanford. And we're going to have another world first on that. So before the spring, we will have laid tarmac across Bluestone, which has been impregnated with the fibre from the recycled nappies, about 60,000 nappies worth of fibre, and it doubles the life of the asphalt. They trialled it, I think, somewhere might have been one of the link roads around Merthyr, I think. They trialled it with the local authority there. But we'll be the first commercial business to buy into this asphalt. And it doubles the life of the tarmac, which is great. I mean, that cuts carbon footprint by half, basically, of road building, which is brilliant. And that's a Welsh technology, Nappy Cycle, part of Natural UK, based in Ammanford. So we're really excited about that as well. We are in the process of going through planning for a solar facility here. We, as some of you may or may not have this issue, but we're on the sort of dog leg of the national grid, which has meant that historically, even though we wanted to generate our own electricity, we weren't allowed. Western Power wouldn't allow us a permit to generate electricity here on site because we couldn't connect it to the grid. And you've got to get a permit from them to do so. So we've been arguing with them for a long time. We managed to get a managed connection, which means a limited connection from them this year, for 3.2 megawatts, which is about a third of our electricity use. So we're building, well, we've put in for planning permission for us to build the biggest possible facility that we can here, which will give us, like I said, about a third of our electricity use. With the way the electricity bills have gone, Bluestone's electricity bill over the next year will be somewhere close to £2 million a year. So, by getting a third of that energy from the sun will be very, very helpful. So yeah, that's a bit of an update, really. We're doing well in terms of bookings. Bookings are strong at the moment, but secondary spend's down a little bit. So people are still coming here, but they're spending a little bit less when they're here. But the forecast is fair at the moment. Depends what else goes on with our economy that comes out of the blue in the next few months, really. But we're fairly confident that this next year is going to be okay for us.
Good to hear. Yeah, great update, Martin. And I know you were doing quite a lot about food waste as well at one point.
Yeah, we're doing lots with that. We're members of the food waste roadmap with RAP. We were also one of the pilot businesses for Guardians of Grub. So we've got 30 of our kitchen staff have been trained on Guardians of Grub now. We're recording food waste in all our outlets at various stages. So from spoilage from delivery or being stored incorrectly or going out of date. Also plate waste, also preparation waste. And soilage, people dropping things on the floor. So we're recording food waste in lots and lots of different ways to try and help to drive down food waste. We've also changed our menu system so that we can limit the amount of food waste that we generate. And we're just looking at a way now of carbon footprint in some of our menus so that guests can have an opportunity to see what the carbon footprint of their meal is, so they can make decisions around meals based on the emissions from those. So we've got a piece of work going on at the moment with our supply chain that we're paying for. We get all of our beef products are all locally sourced through Lanska Beef, which is a Pembrokeshire, Marthenshire, Ceredigion cooperative. So, and we get all of our milk from Totally Welsh Milk, which is based in Haverfordwest, and it's all the processing is done in Pembrokeshire, and the bottling is done in Pembrokeshire. I think it might be the only milk that does that. Most of them get sent off to the Midlands somewhere to be bottled and processed. But anyway, we're doing a carbon footprint on both of those two processes so that we can get a really good understanding of the footprint from dairy and milk, because we've driven our direct emissions, Scope 1 and 2, so low now that our milk has a bigger carbon footprint than the whole operation of Bluestone. And so milk and dairy are two of our biggest carbon footprints for the whole of Bluestone. We've managed to bring down our Scope 1 and 2 emissions by about 92% since 2018. So from about 3,000 tonnes, we're now down to below 300 tonnes a year from electric, biomass, gas, diesel, kerosene, and the other products that we use as well. So yeah, there's loads going on. But yeah, it's great to listen to these sorts of webinars and things, because you get to learn even more about what's going on locally as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Martin. Thanks for contributing so much value to the conversation as well. It's really sort of exciting to hear the amazing progress at Bluestone. Zoe,
feel free to reach out to me, anybody, if they want to reach out to me, just drop me an email. I'm always happy to chat.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, great. Zoe.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. I just love how much you're doing there. One of the challenges I know that you had a while ago was around getting people to Bluestone without bringing their own car.
Yeah, that's right.
How are you getting on with that?
Yeah, well, we've got somewhere with that. So we now have a bus route. So we've got 800 staff at Bluestone. Some people find that it's big. We're the second biggest private sector employer in Pembrokeshire after Llyr oil refinery. And up until about 3 weeks ago, there was no bus route that passed Bluestone. So that's 800 staff that couldn't come to work on public transport, even if they wanted to. Plus, there was no way for a guest to arrive at Bluestone from wherever they came from on public transport. They'd get off the train in Narberth if they chose to do that. Most people come in a car because it's a family holiday, it's self-catering, they've got all this stuff. But even if they chose to, they couldn't get a bus here. And out of our 150,000 guests a year, we did a survey across it. About half of them, we encouraged them to go into Pembrokeshire and visit the sites and the attractions and the shops and other things. And about half of them do so, but they all go in their cars because, again, there was no public transport. Anyway, we worked with Pembrokeshire County Council for a long time to get to this, and the local bus providers, and we're subsidising a bus service now that will come, and it arrives in the morning about 9 o'clock and it comes past again about 5 o'clock to just see if staff might use it and see if guests might use it. The winter's probably not the best time to try it for guests because they're more likely to stay on site. But in terms of our staff, we run staff buses free of charge 7 days a week that we pay for. To allow staff to come in. So around about 200 staff a week utilise that service, which, across 7 days, that's, crikey, that's 1,400 car journeys a week that are being saved by the bus service that we provide. It's quite expensive, but it's really hard to get staff. There's a huge shortage of staff. So in order to get staff, then we put these bus services on, particularly for housekeepers. So we've got about 300 housekeepers that come in on Fridays and Mondays to turn Bluestone around. We've got nearly 400 lodges to turn around. And so the bus service runs, the buses pick up at all the normal bus stops just after the school run, and they get all the housekeepers home just before the school run. So it allows, families with young children to be able to be there in the morning and in the afternoon for the kids and still come to work. We also have a childcare system here at Bluestone as well. I think it's £10 a day, and you can bring your kids to Bluestone and they get looked after by our creche staff here, and they get to do all kinds of cool stuff like all the things you can do at Bluestone as part of their day, far cheaper than they can, but we're limited to about 40 children a day. So we're trying really hard to make Bluestone accessible to everybody to be able to work here. And we've reached out really into Carmarthenshire recently as well with our marketing for staff, because we're so close to the border. We're in Narberth, so Carmarthenshire is West Carmarthenshire is closer to us than some parts of Pembrokeshire. So if you're in Carmarthenshire, please let people know. We're always looking for more staff, and it's a great place to work.
Yeah, what a fantastic update. And you've helped to make this a much more regional meeting than it was otherwise looking. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, we'll have to get you guys involved in our upcoming food conference as well, because there's some great stories to share there. Geraldine, what would you like to ask?
Well, I just want to thank Martin. That was absolutely amazing.
Oh,
I don't know about anyone else, but I'm completely blown away by all of what you said. It just goes to show that if you want to become more sustainable, you can, because you've got such a large operation there, and to go from 3,000 to 300, absolutely amazing. Well done. That's, you know, there's a lesson to be learned there.
Yeah.
But also I wanted to say, you know, when you said the staff can have problems getting to work, it's the same on Gower. We've got that issue, don't we, on Gower, where perhaps in Bracilli, if you haven't got a car, how are you going to get to work? It's not always easy. I know John has been helping towards that for years, but it's how you get to Bracilli or Portainen to work if you're not driving. Some of the youngsters maybe not driving or may not have a car. So we've got that issue as well. You know, public transport is vital to these areas.
On that note, there's a really good project. There's a really good project in Pembrokeshire that we sponsored a few years ago. Pembrokeshire, I can't remember what they're called. So is the acronym, and it's a rural transport charity, and they have a bank of scooters, like motorbike scooters, and young people in particular in rural areas can borrow the scooter for plus some training on it. Plus we bought a lot of helmets and protective gear for them, and they can borrow the scooters after some training for a month or two, which allows them to go to a job interview, for instance, get a job, go to work for the first couple of months with the transport of this, which hopefully gets them into a position where they might be able to afford then to buy a scooter or to buy a car or something else in the meantime. So just to give them a foot up, so they've got some transport. It might be worth reaching out to those guys and seeing what they do in Pembrokeshire, because we're talking about people living in some of the outer regions of the county. It's really difficult to get to the main towns.
Yeah, if you could give me the contact details, that would be great. Thank you.
Brilliant. No problem.
Fantastic. But I wanted to ask you, sorry, I had a question actually for you. Is, you know, when you said you worked on that new bus route, getting to Bluestone, did that attract new customers for you? People that don't have a car, that wouldn't have considered a holiday in Bluestone? Are you finding that some people are coming now because they can get there by public transport?
No, it hasn't made a difference to any guests. There are some staff that are using it. By and large, the people that are staying at Bluestone are, you know, they're families with young children. You know, our offering is from 0 age to sort of 12, that sort of bracket. So there's very few people staying here that don't have a couple of kids with them, and I think less people come on public transport then.
I wonder, Martin, whether that's because it's relatively new, isn't it, this bus service?
It is just weeks old, yeah. It's really
new. And obviously you can say everyone who comes to Bluestone comes by car, but they haven't had the choice previously. So it'd be interesting to see if you can sustain that.
See how it develops, yeah.
Also, I think it's a real benefit to get people out of their cars when they get to Bluestone, so that they can travel around. Once they're there, they can jump on the bus, they can go for lunch in all the glorious places that we've got to go, and they can have a drink and enjoy and catch the bus back. I think, you know, whereas at the moment they're all probably going out traveling and clogging up the roads with their cars.
I think they're far more likely perhaps to jump on a bus to go to Tenby for the day than they are to come all the way here from Bristol or Bath or wherever it might be. You know, I certainly would, because I quite like a couple of local craft ales while I'm there. I don't want to drive back after a couple of Tenby beers.
Zubs, you did have your hand up. I wondered whether you wanted to come in on the kind of rural transport issue.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of echo what everyone else was kind of saying, because I work a lot with young people who really struggle to come into the city centre to access provisions or services, or if they do, they can't stay as long because they have to come into Swansea to get another bus to go back out, and it's that roundabout kind of thing. So hearing some of these solutions is really good, especially for the young people, because it makes such a difference to their lives.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is where businesses get involved in helping to lay on provision. We had a regional transport discussion recently, and you know, where obviously Bluestone is a large business and massive employer, and you know, doing amazing things to help the wider community as well. And I think that's what those are the kind of models that we need to look to. It's like where we can get large employers to contribute to transport solutions, because there's a limit obviously to what the council can do on its own. So it's partnership working. It sounds like a really great example of that. Lee, did you want to come in?
Yeah, just remembering in LA that all the buses have a bike rack fitted to the front, and you know, it can be like, Wales is so rural that yeah, you might get a bus, like there's a bus to Brentford twice a day or once a day and back. You can get here and you can go back, or you know, but the point is that once you get here, all the distances are quite long. So it's really good and maybe this would be good for a transport sector type thing, but to start to join all those dots, you know, like Brentford Wind Farm could fund a whole bunch of e-bikes that are just on a rack here that you can just jump on. You know, it's like if you know you can get somewhere once you get off the bus or the train, it makes such a difference to how confident you feel about just getting on that public transport. Or if you can, you know, like Claire was saying about so many of the tourists arriving by bike, you know, it's great because the trains work, but they can't get to Swansea, or maybe you get to Milford Haven. You can get all the way out west, but you know, it's quite disparate, and it gets harder and harder with a bike to do that. So I don't know, maybe there's opportunity there to strap a bike rack to the one bus a day swinging past Bluestone, so that you know, you can join up the last mile solutions, or the last few miles. Really, it's not kind of miles here, is it? Or rather, it's more often than not more than 1 mile to get between you and your bus stop, if the buses are that infrequent.
Yes, we've got Transport for Wales in the room, and it's one of the things we talk about with the Community Rail Partnership is bikes on trains, bikes on buses. There's huge need for, you know, more joined up action on that. And everybody says electric bikes are a real game changer. So yeah, what can we do? I love the idea of electric bike hubs in key locations for sharing and loaning out. Geraldine.
One last thing from me, but it's when you said everyone has to do their bit and there's only so much the council can do, it just prompted me to think that perhaps, yes, the council's budget is limited and everybody has to take responsibility, and perhaps that's where the tourism levy comes in. You know, if it is £1 per visitor, perhaps it can fund a bus service somewhere, perhaps it can help improve recycling, perhaps you can employ more people to clean our beaches and so on. You know, it just prompted me to say that, you know, there are opportunities within that tourism levy. It's a very fine balance, isn't it? So it'd be interesting to see what comes out of it, because there is only so much we can do.
Yeah, great to bring that conversation full circle, Geraldine. Good point. And, you know, with things like the Swansea BID, for example, Business Improvement District, you know, it's also partly about, I suppose, if tourism businesses are, or if there is a levy, you know, creating a panel whereby the industry itself can help to determine how that money is best spent. Nikki, you've unmuted. What did you want to say?
Really about parking permits in Swansea. With a lot of the holiday lets now, the parking permits are only for the owner of the property. So we do get a lot of problem when guests then want to park, that they can't park because they have to go and pay and walk to the holiday lets because there's no permits for them, because it is just for the property, one car only, when really it'd be nice to have a permit holder, which would be for the whole holiday let, which could be used for that property. I wouldn't even mind paying for that.
Yeah, it's a tricky challenge, that, and it'll be a hard argument to win, I think, in the context of trying to reduce car dependency, but it's a matter of looking at what the obstacles are and the solutions. You know, I know there's a big move to promote park and ride, and we've spoken to tourism businesses before about whether they might consider, telling holidaymakers to park and ride, or whether there are other options. But I think, yeah, like you say, it's
It's something else to promote, because people are looking for parking. They've got children. They don't want to be walking for miles looking for parking. Especially in the Mumbles, there's not much parking. Down in, I've got a property down in Pembrokeshire, and again, you can go to Pembroke Castle. You can get a fantastic little card, and you can pay a small amount all year, but only the person who's on the council tax can actually use it. And again, it'd be really good to be able to open that up and pay more. I'd be happy to pay more for it, but leave it to the property for all guests to use, to encourage them to go there and spend money if it's for tea and cakes, you know, to encourage them to go and view the castle. But again, it's only for myself being the the owner of the property, which is no good. Once I've been there once, I can't pass it on to anyone else to use. But these are options I think they should open up, because it would increase more people coming into the area and spending money they want.
Yeah, good.
Parking is an issue. If I can come back to on that, planning is actually looking at parking provision when considering applications for holiday accommodation. Parking is a huge element of their decision. If there is no parking provision in place, it really does not help the case. The application can be turned down on the parking provision element alone. So we know it's a massive issue. Parking is a big issue, especially in the city centre. And Mumbles is quite difficult to park, as you mentioned. So that's an ongoing issue. Have you approached car parks about it? Have you had any discussion with parking services about your particular property?
I generally just advertise to guests that we'll just pick up the tab for the parking. It isn't actually that much. It's about £6 per day anyway. But they do say that during August, which is a fantastic month for us, there was nowhere to park. It was bursting, and the streets were overflowing, and people were getting frustrated that they couldn't park. And when you advertise on a property that does have disability access, then they can't even get down the road because it's blocked. It becomes a problem of complaints.
Yeah, it's that seasonality issue again, isn't it? Being overcrowded in the summer and not enough in the winter. But just wanted to mention that once you get a parking pass, for example, for the day, a day ticket with Swansea Council, it is transferable within car parks as well. Not many people know that, but it's with the foreshore. So, for example, Mumbles foreshore car parks, you can pay a day ticket and go to Port Einan, or the council-run beach car parks. Then the ticket is transferable, so that might be of interest to your guests.
Yeah, but again, I would be great even with Ogmore by Sea and all the beach. They're charging so much for parking on the beach. I'd be happy to have a tourist car park voucher for the holiday let, and just to encourage people to come and visit.
I'm going to move the
beaches.
I'm going to move the conversation on. Ryan, what did you want to come in on?
Nope. Hi everyone.
Hi.
Just really interesting conversation, particularly with regards to transport. I'm really interested to hear everyone's thoughts and the current perspective. And it's a similar challenge that we had for our charity. So we very much work with people within the community. We work with those who are socially isolated, etc. And that was one of our key challenges, was how do we bring these people together, particularly after COVID as well. How do we get them to engage in local activities, engage with one another in key services that they need if they haven't got the transport. So we are very lucky here at the John Burns Foundation. We do have our own minibus, and we also have our own electric car. So we do go and pick members up from the community and bring them to the centre so they can partake in all of those activities. So it's really interesting thinking about the future in terms of how our guests are to arrive. We do, again, we're quite fortunate we have electric car charging available on site, which is free for them, because that's powered by our solar panels. So we are a carbon negative site, so we produce more energy than what we need. We also have a biomass heating as well. So in the thought process is clearly, been taken rather than taking on a project, which obviously has the issues in place in terms of how it's been set up initially. So it'd be really interesting to see how we will work in terms of tourism when we have people staying with us, in terms of whether we link that in with that kind of community transport element, getting people out and about in the local community and further afield as well, and getting them to keep their cars. Yeah, so just wanted to share that it was really interesting to hear everyone's challenges in transport at the moment.
Yeah, I think likewise, we're talking a lot about transport, and community transport has to be a big part of that solution, doesn't it? But yeah, keep talking to us about those challenges around the visitor economy and the transport connectivity, because it's a key action area. Thanks for that, Ryan. Good, right, well, we're 4 minutes to 2, so we've had a great conversation and really brilliant perspectives shared. I hope everyone else has enjoyed it as much as I have. Really great to have the updates and perspectives from different aspects of the regional visitor economy and tourism sector, and I love the way these conversations evolve and turn into those different things that we're all interested in. So really appreciate you all for coming and spending a couple of hours with us this afternoon. Hopefully it's been useful. We'll keep you all in touch. I know there's been some exchange of details in the chat, and I guess we're happy to share contact details unless anyone specifically doesn't want their details shared. But I think on a regional basis, we're all keen to be connected to each other and to keep talking in between these meetings. So very happy to share contacts. Yeah, thanks for being here. That's it for today. And we'll share a report of notes. My colleague has been scribbling away while we've been chatting. So we'll circulate a report. Thanks so much for all your updates, and we'll connect again soon. Bye for now.